Good morning, everybody. What is up, Doctor? Look who we found. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Ryan
They let
Knight
me
is
back from
in.
Halifax.
Oh my God. East Coaster is prime time.
Yes,
What's
yes.
going on? Good morning, everybody. It is the Morning Vibe with Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, and also winner of the Best Best News Podcast Award 2020 and Innovation Award 2018, given up at the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And the media star is back. What's going on, Ryan Knight?
Yeah, back from the sabbatical. Still in training. But
Sabbatical?
yes, the
That's what
sabbatical. I have
Halifax
to go
was, a
get my media
sabbatical.
training, right?
Okay, all right.
For those that don't know me yet, my name is Ryan Knight. I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. So we work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in and then help them create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. And I'm also an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. Shout out to our young entrepreneurs going through the summer program. And one, I always rock my PACU shirt. So it stands for the Pan-African Credit Union that has their application into FISRA right now. So if you want to see a Black-led financial institution serving the Black community, definitely go to pacu.ca and support them with a pledge. But
All right.
it's great to see you, brother.
Yeah.
How's the past week been?
It's been good. But before we go any further,
Oh, yes.
have to do a shout out. So today's episode is being brought to you by Frequency Event Promotions. So Frequency Event Promotions is a digital marketing, advertising, and printing company based right here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It is led by co-founder and business owner Christopher Lawrence, who is a revolutionary entrepreneur, digital marketer, and event organizer. So we'd like to say thank you so much today for sponsoring this conversation. And we'll have a little bit more about them midway through the conversation. So let's bring it back here. Yeah,
Excellent.
we're doing fine. How was the East Coast?
You know, it was relaxing. There's that, is it the ocean that there's beside? So the ocean breeze, or is it the sea? I'm sorry. I have to go back to my geography class. But yes, being by the water is relaxing. Prices to get to the East Coast and prices to stay in the East Coast is mad. I was thinking, usually, you know, you go to the East Coast and it's, oh, everything is a bit more or less expensive, not the hustle and bustle of Toronto. Hotels like $400, $500 a night.
Oh,
Flights out there, $500, $600. So I don't know if they're building another Manhattan in the East Coast, but the event was nice to, you know, get to see people from all over Canada and the Black community, Black leaders. But I still feel like we only went 50% of the way there. You know, we got hype, we got energized, people got to have great conversations, great networking, but I didn't feel challenged to actually do anything afterwards. So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, it was the National Black Canadian Summit put on by the Mikel Jean Foundation. And yeah, I mean, they did their declaration to Halifax, I guess, to the government. And if you read it, it's really just asking the government to recognize African Nova Scotians. And that's great, but we could go further than that to how do we actually execute for ourselves and create self-sustainability. But hey, I am just a man with an opinion. So,
well,
but I didn't see you there. How come you didn't make the trip, sir?
how honest do you want me to be?
Hey, this is what we do. So
okay, there was no discussion about Black media.
Wow, look at that.
So I'm coming straight, and it's interesting. I talked to a number of people who I thought would go there, and the common response was, "I'm conferenced out."
And I will be 100% transparent. I was feeling like that's my last conference too. Like, if I'm not showing up to something where I'm actively working on the like, you could say, the action item, like what is it that we can do to move the community forward, I can't put my time towards that. There's way too much on my plate that I feel is actually moving the needle to but then there's the other part where you want to meet
Yeah.
people, but you
Yeah.
just don't want to only talk. So
Well,
yeah.
trauma, repetition, symbolism.
And
That
if you're if
well,
you're it was all three in this event, because now you had them talking about all the trauma. I mean, what's happened with Africville and what's happened with African Nova Scotians, trauma is high. And then the repetition, this is their third summit. So yeah, they're getting good at putting on summits. But then it's really symbolic. Like, everything that was talked about was more symbolic than actual empowerment. So we have to shift from those three and get to a fourth, which is empowerment.
yeah. Hopefully, in the near future, we'll go a little deeper on that. But because we have so many wonderful people coming on our platform, we can't do that too much anymore.
Right.
But we're doing it for y'all. So I just want to say shout out. Dr. Tachi is here from Florida, who is the host of Media Scope, which is the livest online program in the world that talks about media, art, and culture, media, tech, and culture. And you can catch her 5 p.m. Eastern time most Wednesdays on Instagram Live. And then 6 p.m., she's on YouTube, she's on Facebook, she's on LinkedIn, she's on all these different platforms. Plus, I think the next day it's on a gospel station in the Bahamas. Just check it out. It's a great, great conversation. And she also
Yes,
says, and a good
yes.
point, that seems to be an issue with our summits and conferences. Lots of fellowshipping and self-esteem building, but no real calls to action. Good morning, Marlon Stevens, saying the event may have been contributed to the costs of the weekend. Supply and demand. The hotels probably use the event to inflate the price. And also,
Right.
Dr. Tai says, and this is true, we have too many symbolic conversations.
Absolutely. And they wrote, I'll give you an example. In their what would
Manifesto?
you go? Yeah, it's like their brochure that I had their action items. One of the things where they talked about economic development was helping more Black residents become entrepreneurs and helping them start social enterprises, so being social entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
At the conference, there's no discussion about social enterprise. So they write it on paper, but they actually don't follow through and make people. How do you help more entrepreneurs start businesses and become social enterprises? I know a few people that talk a lot about social enterprise. I mean, I know a couple of people that can't stop talking about the financing and the grants that are there for social enterprise. The Social Finance Fund, which is an $800 million dollar pool of money for social enterprises. And this did not come up at the conference, even though you wrote it in your brochure. So this is where you really you miss the mark, and you're putting things on that are a bit, it definitely misses the mark. But and I don't know if you're seeing other organizations that are heating up with their events, but the Black North Initiative has a golf tournament coming up. They have a career fair coming up, and they have a Black Excellence Gala coming up. So you're going to be busy covering these events, I would assume.
Let's move on. So, and
Yes.
Dr. Tachi, you are too kind. Right back at you, Dr. Tachi. And I said, hopefully one day we'll do a periodic state of, and look at this, DJ Rod, no comment. Yes.
But and so, like, to really put a pin in that media, that comment that you made, the only media company that was there was CBC. CBC. So no Black media covered.
Non-melanated media organization covering a conference that is for melanated people.
Unapologetically for Black people. The National Black Canadian Summit, the third one, and they had no media cover it, Black media cover it from the community.
So
that is a total miss.
DJ Renard, and I'm sure he of buyblacks.com. They are the #1 Black Canadian online magazine in the world, and they were not invited.
Yeah, that's a total swing and a miss.
Right? So that tells you, well, let's stop right there. Let's put a pin on, because we could go all, and we've got a special friend finally,
yes.
finally back with us. So we have Wayne Harris today, and the last time Wayne was on, he brought it.
Yes,
big time.
yes.
And then after the conversation, Ryan and I were saying, or I was saying, we need to have Wayne on every month to talk about finances, money, life insurance, all that stuff. So I shouted out to Wayne, and I'll say I've been blessed to know Wayne for at least 30 years.
It's nice.
At least 30 years. I mean, 30 years. And I said, hey, Wayne, could you make some time in your positive, productive schedule of family, business, serving the environment, the Black environment, because you're not using the C word, the Black environment.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
And he said, sure. So we said, all right, today is the first day we have Wayne Harris on Financial First Fridays. So Wayne,
pleasure to have you.
He's going to be with us the first Friday of each month for the rest of the year, talking about different areas of finance. I am excited that he's our first regular monthly friend, not guest, friend, that's going to be on this platform. So welcome everybody who you haven't met him. You're going to get to meet him, and you're going to want to come every first Friday for the rest of the month. Wayne, how you doing, my man?
Doing fantastic, gentlemen. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Pleasure to have you on.
Yeah,
and hey, would love to get. We didn't see you at the conference. How come
exactly.
You're not making trips anymore?
Listen, buddy, I went to a conference, but it was in Vegas.
Okay,
104 degrees, and you could chew the air. It was so thick. It was unbelievable. Crazy.
Yes,
but it's good to see you. Go ahead.
I was curious just to get your thoughts on the lack of financial literacy being a topic at a lot of these events. I'm not sure if you've been or invited or offered to come to certain conferences to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that has to do with when they call for papers. So if they call for papers, they pretty much know who they want to speak at these events, and they know who these people are and what audience they're going to bring. So if they believe you're going to come with an audience and that's going to bring more visibility to the event and more bums and seats, they'll probably invite you to the conference. I think that's a little bit short-sighted, because if you bring in financial literacy to a conference, you might expose people to concepts that they've never seen before and add value in a way that you've never added value before. So I think going forward, usually by the time the flyer or the advertising is out, the speakers have already been baked. So there is an opportunity for you to get in. It's about being proactive and letting people know in the community that we're looking for speakers in these areas. Let us know, and then we will submit, and then we can see how it goes, and they can do the math and the metrics to see if it makes sense to have us back going forward. But I think it's fundamental to the Black community, because why get all these loans? Why get all these grants? Why start all these businesses and no one knows what they're doing with the money? Should you make a profit, right? Should you make a profit? What do you do with that profit to make it the most tax effective and efficient way? So accountants and financial advisors and estate planners and people who can help set up trusts and different types of business formats should be at these events, because those are the foundational tools. And why a lot of these Black nonprofits get into trouble, because they get audited, because people say, what'd you do with my money? I gave you the money. What'd you do with it?
Yes.
Well, if these fundamentals are there, I think people would be more successful for a prolonged period of time.
I just want to add in there too, Wayne. Nonprofits have to realize you are still a business.
100%.
They don't. I'm telling you, you are still. Look, no matter if you're in social justice, you need money and your finances to run.
Facts, and I think everyone kind of knows that, but no one is really doubling down on that area of the business, the foundational things. And I think that's where the board of directors and board of advisors for nonprofits should have somebody who has financial acumen at the table to help them stay on side with their taxes and just being good stewards of the monies that are given to them and the monies they raise.
Good stuff. Well, we could spend the rest of the hour all on that, but no, we ain't gonna do that this time. Not this time. But Wayne wants to chat today, and people, the comments are flying, so I will certainly get up to those and keep on. If you have questions for Wayne in real time, please put them in your chat on whatever platform you're watching on. But today, Wayne wanted to talk about the stages of life, about life stages and life insurance. So, Wayne, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Vive. And first of all, I want to shout out to all Leos because it's Leo season.
Yes.
Leos, all of us here, we have a big celebration for Leos. I think we're the only ones, other than maybe the Sagittarius or the Capricorns, who have Christmas. We have Caravana. So Leo season kicks off with a festival of 1 million Black people. Now, we don't make any money for the Black community, but we have a really, really good time.
That's a whole next episode.
We have a really, really good time. Right? It was fantastic. The weather was beautiful.
Yes.
1 million people. I was thinking, if we could just get $10 each, what could we build? What could we buy? What could we do? Wow, we wouldn't need all these initiatives for grants if everybody who went to Caravana just gave $10 and got some value for the $10, or $20 and got some value in different levels. Anyway, I digress. Secondly, the reason I'm here today and not here a month ago was because of Rogers.
Yes.
Rogers shut down, bro. Listen, let me tell you.
Look, let me tell you. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning,
right?
And I go online and saying, okay, my it ain't working. So I do the old plug out the modem, plug it back in. It ain't working. So I have a third party that I use for my internet. Call them up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm on hold for 40 minutes. I'm going, it's 5 a.m. in the morning, not 5 in the afternoon. Hang up, call again, lines down. So I find out eventually by 7 o'clock in the morning. And Rogers, for those people who are outside of Canada, is one of the largest telecommunication companies in Canada. They were totally down. So that's why we didn't have
Yes.
we were supposed to have them on last month, but hey, they shut us down. So back to you. To you. And that's not only internet, but phone, TV, cable, the whole
text message, everything. Yeah. I've never seen anything like that.
So back to you, Wade. Sorry to interrupt.
Think about this. I was driving to Montreal after the show. I was supposed to do the show and then drive to Montreal. And now everybody knows if you're going on any trip anywhere in our city, you need to use Waze. Because if you use Waze will tell you when the roads are broke up, this is traffic, and what's going on.
Yes.
So I'm blind, bro. I'm driving to Montreal like I was driving 25 years ago with a Pearlie's map.
Yes.
Going up
that map, chart your course.
No. CAA triptychs, right?
Pearlie's map.
So I'm driving blind. I said, listen, we need to stop off. So we stop off in one of these cities that we never stop off in, and we go find a TD Bank and go take out cash because we don't know if debit's going to work and if we're going to run out of gas and what's going to go on. So I have cash in my hand for the first time. It's kind of weird to have cash in any large amount in my pocket because I'm a debit credit guy, I'm mostly credit rather than debit. And we'll talk about that on another episode. But the fact that Rogers impacted me with no recourse for 16 hours and offered me $25 in compensation is insane.
That's a slap in the face. That's what they're offering to that, because for business owners, that does not cover that type of downtime.
Correct.
Period.
All you have to do is look at what your normal Friday would be on a sunny day, and look at the last 5 years and what your revenue would have been during those hours, and I would be suing for that revenue. But this is what you have when you have an oligopoly. You have no options, right? Most businesses that are of any size will have two different feeds to their business, one from provider A and one from provider B. Either one of those go down, the other guy will take over. So essential services probably have two providers, but most people won't pay for two. But now looking at that, I might have to have 2 feeds to my house. I'm looking to getting some of my cell phones off Rogers and onto another network. Should Rogers go down again, because it's the second time in 18 months, I will be on another provider, and half the family will have and half the family won't. So just building some redundancy.
Right.
So what we're talking about is resiliency in Rogers Network. And it's a great segue for resiliency within your family from a financial foundation. Insurance in life stages builds resiliency into your family and helps you with generational wealth. So I want you to think about this. Since we last met, I had a birthday, so shout out to me. I'm older now, older now, 50, 56 now. It's unbelievable. I can't believe 56, because when I look at the pictures of my parents in the 60s when they had their party, they were in their 30s. They look older than me now. Right? It's crazy. All right. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about the 3 life stages. I'm in what you call, and I think all of us are in what we call the squeeze generation. And the squeeze generation means you have parents that are still alive. Some of them are doing better than others, and you have children on the other end. And both groups are dependent on you, as well as your spouse if you have one. So you're servicing 3 groups of people. Now, I believe in something called the circle of life. And I believed in it before Disney and the Lion King. But you want to think about this. At the beginning of the circle, you're born, and at the end of the circle, you pass. You need to have your financial house in order from the beginning to the end. The youngest you can insure a human being in Canada is 15 days old. Why? Because in the first 2 weeks, there's something called sudden infant death syndrome, and babies die for no reason. They can't figure it out. But once you're 15 days old, you are viable in the eyes of the insurance company, and it is the healthiest and the youngest and the most perfect you will ever be. And there's certain communities, I won't name any names, but they live around Bathurst and Wilson, Bathurst and Lawrence. And this community will insure their child at that age when they get automatic approval, before the child shows any seizures, before the child gets tested for autism, before the child has anything wrong with it. They get approved and locked in. Now, if you learn anything about insurance, learn about this today. The younger you are, the healthier you are, the less expensive it is. So if 15 days is the youngest you can get it, and 15 days before your 30-day test with your doctor discovers anything, you lock in your health and your youth, and most importantly, your price for the rest of your life. Okay, so that's the babies. On the other end, we have people in their 70s, 80s, 90s. Some people are living to 100. Our generation should get to 100. And if not us, the generation behind us should raise the average death or mortality date for men and women. Men is about 84, women's about 86. But we know everybody has a grandmother in the 90s and 100. Everybody, you go, oh, my granny, she lived to 98. She lived to 100. She lived to 103. No one says grandfather, by the way. Everybody says granny, because women live longer than men, usually. Life insurance is less expensive for women than it is for men. Why? Because they live longer. So they pay into the policy longer if they have a life policy. So over the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks since we last met, I've had a couple of deaths in my network. 2, to be exact. One was a 7-year-old girl, and the other one was a 79-year-old woman.
So you said a 7-year-old?
7-year-old girl.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. She was having some issues. They went to the local hospital, which is about an hour and a half from Sick Kids, and they chose to go to the local hospital rather than go to Sick Kids. Went to the local hospital, things didn't work out, and she's gone, 7 years old. Tragic. The other was a 79-year-old lady. She was sick for the last year, and she got continuously sick, and finally they decided to remove the feeding tube, and she expired. I had a big funeral. It was on my birthday, actually. Great celebration of life. But it got me thinking. I was looking at all the people in the church, and everybody was, and the family was there, and everyone was sad. I'm like, is that family now? Are they millionaires? Are they millionaires now? Because they should be. They should be. The funeral was great. Food was great. You know, they had to pay everybody. Had to pay the reverend for speaking. Had to pay for the church. Had to pay for the hall. Had to pay for the food. Had to pay for the limos. Had to pay for the casket. Had to pay for the preparation of the body. Had to pay for the cemetery. Pay for the plot. Still haven't paid for the headstone, which will come in a few weeks. All these things had to be paid for. I said, did this cost the family any money, or was it all taken care of by a life insurance policy, which is tax-free money to the beneficiaries? So both life stages, 7-year-old, gone. No one's expecting that. 79-year-old, maybe you're expecting that one, but you're thinking maybe you have a little bit more time based on the averages. But the 7-year-old was unexpected. That family should be mortgage-free if they follow the policy that I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm not wishing anything on anyone's kids, right? I'm not saying that you should be buying this insurance because you're going to use that to pay your mortgage and pay your bills. But everyone is going to die. Last I checked, only one guy got out, and he only got out for 3 days, right? Good Friday to Easter Sunday, Easter Monday. That's the only guy I know in history who's been able to escape it. So if that's the case, if death is guaranteed, and we don't know when it's going to happen, but we know it's going to happen, why would we not put ourselves in position to help our family with generational wealth with that event that we know is going to come?
I'm curious with the conversations that you have with families. Is there another benefit that you mentioned when you're insuring your kids? Because when you talk about it, I guess, covering the unfortunate situation that they might pass away,
right,
that approach might be cause resistance.
Oh,
is there another?
100%. So I don't talk about insuring children from a death benefit perspective. I talk about insuring children from a cash value accumulation and access to the cash in the whole life or universal life policy. So let's talk about that for a second. But before I get to that, those are the 2 deaths in the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, there's also been 2 births. So again, the circle of life. 2 people have passed, 2 people have come. It's almost like the earth is keeping itself in balance. These 2 babies that are born could change the generational wealth footprint for these families at such a reasonable cost. But they have to know about the program. And if you don't know about the program, G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. So think about this now. I go to talk to the parents of a family. First of all, the parents have to be insured. If the parents aren't insured, they can't get insurance for the kids. Think about it for a second. If the parents don't have insurance, they cannot get insurance for the kids. Why do you think that is? Because it's an incentive for the parents to hurt the children.
Wow. Okay.
Insurance companies have thought of that. So the parents have to have insurance, and they have to have more insurance than the kids. Otherwise, they will not insure the kids. So that's 1. 2, the cash accumulation in a whole life or universal life policy. 2 different types of permanent policies. A whole life policy gives you a guaranteed return on your premium. Means you cannot get less. You cannot not make money. You will make money with a whole life policy, but because they guarantee somewhere between around 6%, you pay a higher premium because they're guaranteeing during hell or high water, you're going to get that money. So right now we're in economic weird times, right? The market's really, really crazy, and everybody was losing money from 2020 till now, depending on what you were invested in. But the whole life policy is going to continue to pay out 6%, no matter what. So imagine having a GIC, a guaranteed investment certificate, with a death benefit that paid 6%.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to put a pin on it right there because we have to do a little bit of a promo. So no problem. So we're just going to do a little bit of a promo. So here we go. And this involves frequency event promotions. Hey, surprise, surprise, surprise. So frequency event promotions, they are putting on a community pop-up shop tomorrow, August 6th in the Toronto area. And it's from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 2206 Eglinton Avenue East. The major intersection is Birchmont Road in Eglinton. And this event will feature over 10 product and service-based vendors, food, health, beauty care, car care. Is Detailing Nights going to be there? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And parenting resources and employment services, access to door prizes and surprises. So like to shout out, they're going to be there. And if you want to find out more information about the event, there is a Eventbrite. So there is the website to find out more about it. I hope I can make it tomorrow. I'm going to be in the West End of Toronto, coming back east. So I'm hoping we'll be able to appear at the event. So community pop-up shop tomorrow, folks, if you're in the Toronto area. And we are back.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
Continue on, Wayne.
Yes.
So don't worry. So we're going to talk about whole life policies and universal life policies, which are two permanent policies you can get access to. Whole life policy, again, has two components. It has a death benefit that will pay. You don't have to determine when you're going to die. Whenever you pass, you're going to get paid. It also has a cash accumulation. So you're making money inside the policy. If you touch the money in the policy and take it out of the policy, it becomes income. And the second word after income in this country is always
the taxes on it?
Tax, income tax. Or what we can do is we can collateralize or get a policy loan against the cash. So you're accumulating cash in the policy. If you touch the money and pull it out, you pay income tax. But if you borrow against the money, you pay no tax. It's a loan. You take that loan, you don't have to pay it back. When you pass, they'll say, you've had this money for this long at this interest rate. We're going to take our money that you borrowed and we're going to give you the rest of the money and the death benefit. So you don't have to pay it back while you're alive. If you want to pay it back, you can do what they call private banking. Borrow from yourself, use the money for whatever you want to use, put it back into pay back the loan, and do it over and over and over again your entire life. Now you can do that on your own life. Some of you some of you guys are in your late 20s.
Is that what they call the infinity banking?
Correct.
Okay, because I usually hear about it in the US. It's something that can be done here too?
Exactly. So rather than you, Ryan, insuring yourself, and Ed, you insuring yourself at this age and this level of health, you have children. So you insure your child, put them into a policy. You pay the premiums. You're the owner of the policy. They're the insured. You're the beneficiary. They're minors, so they can't do anything with the money anyway. But now you can accumulate money in that account, and you can borrow against that money and use it for whatever you want. Detailing Nights, whatever you want to use it for.
Gotcha.
You don't have to pay it back, but if you do, you get to use it over and over again because that will be available to you. A whole life policy is pretty much bulletproof, and you can pay the premiums off in 8 years, 10 years, or 20 years. It's not you're paying perpetually until you die. You can pay it off in 8 years, stop the payments. 10 years, stop the payments. 20 years, stop the payments, and you'll be insured until you meet your maker. Most people don't know. Okay.
Sorry. So how does that? So if it's a 10-year whole life policy,
yes.
After 10 years, the payments stop.
Correct. And the policy is like a snowball on the top of a hill, earning cash value all the way down the hill. And then when it gets to the bottom of the hill, you're no longer here. But that could be a massive amount of cash, and the death benefit is increasing every year. So you could buy a $50,000 policy now, but 50 years from now, that $50,000 might be $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 plus the cash value in the policy. It could leave you with $1 million on a $50,000 policy that you paid for 8 years, by the way. So if you have a newborn baby and you're getting your child tax credit, you can put it towards what most people will do, which is the RESP, and we'll talk about that on another episode. Or you could put it in a whole life policy. If you put in the RESP, Registered Education Savings Plan, you can only use it for school, and only the schools they say you can use it for.
Yes.
But if you have it in a whole life policy, you can make almost the same amount of money as you could accumulate in the policy for the RESP, and you can use it for anything. So think about this scenario. Ryan, you have a daughter, right?
Yes, a daughter and son.
All right. So you have a daughter and a son. So on their wedding day, 20 years from now, okay, they are in the room getting changed, and you're seeing your daughter for the first time, and you and your wife walk into the room when she is just about to come out to meet her husband, and you say, I have something for you. She goes, what's this? She goes, take a look at it. And you hand her the paper. And she goes, this is an insurance policy. I was insured? He goes, yeah, you were insured from the time you were 15 days old. You're now getting married at 32. Policy's been paid off since you were 20. It's been accumulating cash for 32 years, uninterrupted by taxes. Policy's paid off. What I've done is give you the policy. I've changed the owner from myself to you. I've changed, you're still the insured. I've changed the beneficiary from me and your mother to your husband. She goes, Dad, it says here that I have $80,000 in cash in there. Yes, you do. Congratulations.
Right.
And you can go do with that $80,000 whatever you want to do. My gift to you. Or you can give her a fridge or a washer dryer.
So with the cash that accumulates, is that the same you're talking about? If you use it, it's a loan, or is that different than loaning against it?
So if she goes into the policy and calls the company and says, I want to take cash out.
Right.
She has no income. Let's say she's a stay-at-home mom. She's going to get taxed at the level of the money she takes out. Whatever the marginal tax bracket is for what she takes out. She takes out 20 grand, she'll get taxed at the marginal tax bracket for 20 grand. She takes out 40 grand, she'll get taxed at 40 grand. Or she can borrow against the policy.
Gotcha.
Leave the money in the account to continue to grow uninterrupted by her or anybody else, and use that money for whatever she wants, because all loans are tax-free. When you bought your house, you don't pay a mortgage minus tax. You get the mortgage money. When you buy a car, you don't get the loan amount minus tax. You get the loan amount. So the loans are tax-free. So get the loan, and the interest rates are very fair. Go and live your best life. If she wants to put a down payment on a house, she can. She wants to go back to school, she can. She wants to start a business, she can. She has a baby, she needs a new car, she can. The policy will pay for everything. We have people who have paid out. Let's say you're paying $300 a month for the policy. $300 a month is $3,600 a year. You pay the policy for 20 years. That's $72,000 out of your pocket, out of Trudeau's pocket, which is really your pocket. But the child benefit pays the $300 a month. At the end of 20 years, you're done. You're not paying anything else. You have a policy for life. There's enough cash in that policy to subsidize her entire lifestyle. Vacations, home buying, business, school, everything. And she doesn't have to pay it back. At the end of life, they say, this is what you borrowed. This is for how long. This is the interest rate. We're going to take back what you borrowed. We're going to give you the rest of the cash and the death benefit. Because you can't borrow more than you have in the cash accumulation, so you can never be upside down.
Gotcha.
Okay? So that's a whole life policy. A universal life policy says, we're going to give you more control. Whole life policy, you have very little transparency. You give the premium, and the company does all the work, but they guarantee you 6%. A universal life policy says, give us the money. Some of the money is going to go into the cash value bucket, and some of it's going to go into the death benefit bucket. But you control the investment. So if you want to put it into Google, Amazon, Microsoft, you want to put into RBC, TD, and so on and so forth, you can find those investments, and you can beat the 6% that you would get in a whole life policy. So some of my nurses last year, well, I would say not last year, 2019, were getting 19% return. They're getting credit card returns on their money, 19%, because they were in a U.S. technology investment, and it was just crushing, right? So as every year I do a financial review, and every quarter you get statements, plus you have access to a portal where you can see how you're doing. If you see that this thing is slipping, we can change the investment in the universal life policy and make it more conservative during down times like now. But I wouldn't recommend that. I would buy more of the good stuff cheaper. If you're in your 20s, you buy Microsoft cheaper. Why would you want to buy Microsoft more expensive? You buy Microsoft cheaper. Microsoft was 300 and change 2 years ago. Now it's 200 and change. Why would I? It's not going anywhere, bro. So why would I get out of Microsoft to go buy something that's earning less? I keep it in Microsoft and buy Microsoft cheaper.
But for smart people who know the market, this is the time you buy.
Correct.
This is the time. If you can afford it, this is the time you buy, because like Wayne said, stocks like Microsoft, Google, they ain't going down forever, right? They are like Amazon. They ain't going down forever. So if
Correct.
you can take advantage of it, I wish I had that much money. This is the time to buy. Question from our audience for you, Wayne.
Sure.
Ray from Macmillan Group. Good morning, gentlemen. With the significant difference in the cost of initial premium between term and whole life policies, how do you convince Black families to make that decision?
Great question, and thanks for that. Here's the deal. Black families are not a monolith. We're not all living in public housing. We're not all working paycheck to paycheck. We're not all punching a clock. We're not all making minimum wage. 80-20 rule. 80% of us might be making less than $50,000, but there's 20% of us that make significantly more than $50,000. So you have to decide which market you're in. In some markets who are making, what I call working class income and so on, they may not have the money to put $300 a month into a whole life policy. Mm-hmm. But we have something called hybrid, where you can put a small amount of whole life, so you can play in this very, very lucrative game and put a large amount of term. So you do a hybrid, a little bit of whole life, so you can get in on this. I will call it a secret, but it's been around for over 100 years.
Yes.
We just didn't know about it. So you can get a little bit of whole life and a lot of term. So you can get $50,000 a whole life, or $20,000 a whole life, $10,000 a whole life, and a $900,000 worth of term, satisfying both. I get you the amount of insurance you need to leave a legacy of wealth, but I also put you in play at the youngest, healthiest age you are on the whole life or the universal. So to the Macmillan Group's question, we can do a hybrid, a whole life or universal life base, and then add term on top. Some companies say buy term and invest the rest, which is fantastic if you know where to invest the rest and how to invest the rest. But if you can have an insurance company, which are larger than most of the banks, to do that on your behalf and force the discipline of you having a monthly premium, which is a monthly investment, now I'm giving you the discipline and I'm showing you the upside reason why you want to stick with this policy.
Marlon Stevens saying the interest on secured loans are considerably less than unsecured loans, and they are usually closer to prime.
Marlon Stevens is a very bright man. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. He is correct. Because they have the policy as collateral, the interest rate is going to be lower and more competitive than an unsecured loan. Because everybody understands this mechanism except for us. And from a monolithic perspective, again, 80% of us may not know about this, but 20% of us do. And the 20% that are doing this may not be telling their friends and family, because in our community, we're like, I don't want nobody in my business, so I ain't telling nobody my business, and everything is secret. It's all CIA, FBI between the Black people. So what my mission is to get this information in the hands of the people so they can make better decisions. Mm-hmm. Life insurance will pay if you have the right type of life insurance with the right companies. And the good news is in Canada, you have 3 guarantees that life insurance will pay. 1, if the company goes out of business, all the other insurance companies have to take on the policies for that company. So you've seen companies that were here before, you've heard different company, Confederation Life and so on and so forth. They're no longer here. All the other companies had to take on those policies to make sure they're in play.
Gotcha.
Then the Canadian government comes in. If all the insurance companies in Canada go out of business, the Canadian government has some guarantees as well through Assurance. So you got 3 guarantees. The company itself is going to pay. And after 2 years of having the policy and the premiums up to date, even suicide is covered by life insurance in Canada. Which I got that question wrong on the exam. No one's going to pay for suicide because it's own goal. No. If you have the policy in good standing for over 2 years, even suicide is covered in Canada.
Wow.
I didn't know this.
So, and is that info that probably don't want to get out? It's like, you don't want to encourage that behavior. I'm curious if that's why they kind of keep it not known.
Well, yes and no. What happens in the first 2 years is when you do your declaration of your health and your mental state and all those things, all the insurance companies have is 2 years to vet and do inspection on everything you said to them. So there's something called the MIB, not the Men in Black, but a Medical Information Bureau.
Gotcha.
Right? And the Medical Information Bureau has all your files on everything you've done from a health perspective. And they take your answers on the application you filled in and they vet it against the MIB, which will include all your medical records. When they compare those two, it could take a while. We get a lot of insurance policies going through. So they have up to 2 years to find that you said something incorrect. And they'll ask you to correct it, and they'll adjust the premium, or they'll say, take your money back. All the money you paid us, take it all back, because we're not going to insure you.
Wow, right.
Right? Because we see something in your file that doesn't make sense. So 97% of all Canadian life insurance policies pay out. So people who come here from other countries have heard the story. Well, my friend's mother's brother's cousin had an insurance policy and it didn't pay. I'm not getting insurance. It's a scam. So-and-so had a so-and-so and they went to the insurance company and the insurance company didn't pay. When you know, ogres have layers, onions have layers. When you peel the onion, okay, Shrek, man. Right?
Yes.
When you peel the onion, you'll find out that they stopped the policy or there was fraud. If a 45-year-old man says he's a 43-year-old man on the policy, him and the insurance agent are in cahoots because the premium will be lower because he's younger. The company's going to find out. When they do the final inspection, they're going to see the death certificate and everything, and they're going to do the inspection and go, this guy's 45, not 43.
Right.
So they may still pay out, even though it's fraud, but they're going to pay out at the 45 years, not the 43, and reconcile the difference. That's being nice, because they can say, no, I'm not paying, and just give back the premiums.
Wow.
Yes.
Smokers saying go ahead.
So Tim Frey saying, great answer, Wayne. Hybrid insurance makes sense. He also says, happy birthday, Wayne, fellow Leo.
Yes.
And Frequency Event says your financial intellect is on point. When is your online courses coming to a screen near us?
Nice. I appreciate all that. Happy belated to you, Tim. I was in Vegas, so I forgot to do my Facebook updates and give everybody a shout out. He's my fellow Leo. We are like days apart, a year apart. So we're
nice.
vibing. We're vibing that Leo vibe, Tim and I. And courses, doing an online course might make sense, but I find that everyone wants in a group setting, everyone clams up in the Black community. In a group setting. Individually, when I'm sitting kneecap to kneecap at the kitchen table with them or on a Zoom with them and nobody else is around, then they become transparent. So I find that for my industry,
face-to-face
publicity is not a good thing. Privacy is what Black people want. They want to know that their business is not going to end up in a course or anything. So you see today I'm giving you examples of real life situations, but I'm not saying here's a SIN number of the person, here's a name. Right?
No. Yes.
Right. So to recap, whole life insurance, universal life insurance will cover you for your whole life. If you pay the premiums for 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and stop, depending on how it's being built, you will have coverage for the rest of your life. You do not have to pay until the day you die. So many of my policies will stop asking for a premium at age 65. Because that's a magic number. You're supposed to retire at 65. Your income is going to drop. We don't want you paying premiums for any insurance, but you'll have coverage until you pass if it's a permanent policy. Whole life, 6% guaranteed return, come hell or high water. And many companies have a participating policy, which means you participate in their profit sharing and you will get a dividend on top of the 6% return. And the dividends are not guaranteed, but they have never failed to pay in over 85 years. They're not guaranteed, but they're never not paid, and they never paid less than 5.5%. Think about that.
Yeah.
And that's going into the cash accumulation over time. Now we're going to talk about term insurance. And term insurance is a great option. You don't have a lot of money. You want to get insurance. You want to get a lot for a little term. Makes a lot of sense in the first term of the policy. First 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years. But when it has to renew, you renew at the age you're at 30 years in the future. And that price could be 10 to 15 times more in premium than you're paying today. So most people, when they get a term policy, will run it for its duration and then they will cancel it. Well, many companies don't have any return of premium on their term. The money's gone. Auto insurance doesn't have a return of premium. Hey, I didn't get an accident. Give me back some money. No, they say,
Right.
Congratulations on not having an accident.
Here's a cookie.
Your rate for the next
Not
year.
even a cookie.
Not even a cookie. So term insurance usually doesn't have return on premium. There are term policies that do have that. Some companies are starting to do that because of this reason. But here's the kicker. 84% of term policies do not pay out. Why?
Okay.
Because you didn't die.
Ah.
You can only get paid in a term policy if you die. So you get a term 20, you say, I'm 43. I'm going to get a term 20 because it's cheap. I got a big mortgage. I'm going to get a term policy to cover the mortgage so my wife and my kids are good. Fantastic. Because that's the reason you're using it. Because mortgage insurance protects the bank. You pay the premiums to pay off the mortgage so the bank can get his money, but your family gets nothing because your mortgage is free, but your wife has no money to live there. She still has to sell.
Yes.
But if you have term insurance rather than mortgage insurance, you can choose a beneficiary, and it doesn't have to be the bank. And the cost per $1,000 of insurance in a term policy is significantly less than mortgage insurance, which means you can pay off the mortgage and give your wife an income for less money than just paying off the mortgage with the mortgage insurance. That makes sense?
Yes.
Wow.
Here's the
This
other
is good
issue.
stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Joy is saying excellent presentation, Wayne.
Thank you.
Yes, I've purchased several millions of dollars from Wayne. He knows his stuff and is passionate about his job. Give him a towel. He's on fire. Perry Douglas.
He's a good man.
Nice.
Shout out to Perry. Perry comes onto this platform and drops bombs. I love that guy.
Yeah, actually, I was in a conversation last night, and Perry, your name came up, and this was, you got to share me that conversation. I said, okay, we'll do that. But yeah, it's good stuff. Wayne, and I know we're coming up to probably the end here, but the whole area of life insurance and risk.
Yeah.
Is there, from your conversations, a mindset with many people in the Black environment about risk that they need to let go of?
That's a great question. I'm gonna take that question from this perspective.
Yep.
If you're coming from, if there's a spectrum on the one side, on the left-hand side, there's scarcity. On the right-hand side, there's abundance. If you're closer to scarcity than abundance, life insurance, you believe, is a luxury, not a necessity. Because you're trying to put food on the table, you're trying to get to and from your job, and you're trying to live life, and life insurance, all the benefits of life insurance may not be available to you. Mm-hmm. But really, Black people have to ask themselves this question. Do I want to leave a legacy of debt, or do I want to leave a legacy of wealth? And many Black people that I talk to, especially the old heads, are like, I'm not leaving my kids anything because my parents left me nothing.
Wow. Right.
So every generation is a pioneer generation, starting from zero. I'm like, why would you not want to set your kids and your grandkids up?
Right.
Why do we have to start from zero every generation? So risk is about three things. What's the best that can happen? What's most likely to happen? What's the worst that can happen? That's risk management, 101. What's the best that can happen? What's most likely? What's worst case? You're going to die. You're going to die. We don't know when. Do you want to leave your family with the debt of final arrangements, final taxes, and any creditors that you have in your life and leave them with less than nothing, next of kin? Or do you want to set the next 3 generations up?
Right.
So they don't have to go through what you went through. It's really a mindset and a simple choice.
And I'm curious, and in the conversations you've had, has it ever come up where they say, because my parents left me nothing, that built resilience in me? Like, is that a mindset that people have? Like, if I leave my kids to make their life easy, they won't build up that grit or resilience?
Sure. Give your kids a mindset rather than giving them things. So, right? I didn't grow up with a car, but we have a couple of cars. I didn't grow up in a house. We have a couple of houses. So my kids are starting, their zero is a little higher than my zero.
Right.
But my wife and I have money. They don't have any money. Right? This is what Shaq said to his kids. I got money. And if you get certain things, you'll get access to it. My kids are in position to win. And I know it's already hard enough for a black person out there. Why am I going to make it harder by making them start at zero? Because I started at zero, it sounds like you're not leveling up. So it's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says, how can I position my kids to win? Right? Perry went to McGill. His kids are going to McGill. Why? Because McGill positioned him to win. He understands the assignment, so he's positioning them to win. Right? My kids are both, one finished university, the other one's in their last year. Why? Because the university education in STEM sets them up to win. If they don't finish university, they still have intelligence. But we know statistically that if you look like us and you go out there without paper, life is going to be harder for you.
Oh, yeah.
If you have the paper. And if you have the paper in something that isn't relevant or in demand, life is going to be harder for you. So people have been saying STEM for 40 years. So for me to not have 2 kids in STEM didn't make any sense. It means I didn't understand the assignment.
Right.
So the risk of not doing this means that every generation has the one. I don't know if you're the one for your generation, but I might be the one for my generation, where I changed the game economically for my lineage with me in this generation. Right? My brother, my sister, and myself are setting ourselves up. So when they look at the Harris lineage and they see a picture of me 100 years from now, they go, this is the guy who changed the game for our family. And they want to touch the picture and go, man, because if this guy didn't do those things that he talked about on the Dr. Vibe show, we would be like everybody else. Because I made a decision. I planted my flag to say, this is the last generation that's starting from zero. My kids, and when they're blessed to have kids, those kids will benefit from what I'm doing now. I'm leaving a legacy of wealth and a legacy of growth mindset. And with growth mindset, wealth is just a positive side effect of that. Getting back to the circle of life, these people who are passing and our parents, that generation before us that is now closer to meeting their maker than being born, they need to be set up. And if they're not set up, there's still things you can do if they're below the age of 80 to set them up to lessen the burden on you, because you're going to be one catching that bill because you're the next of kin, you and your siblings, right? All the uncles and aunts will say, hey, that's why she had you, Ryan. Good luck with that.
And I'm noticing my dad is like in the super squeeze era because his mom is still alive. Right. Well, sorry, his stepmom. And then he has his kids, and now we have grandkids for him. Right. So there's like, and I wouldn't say like he's supporting me or supporting my kids, but that I can see people out there that are like, man, they must be just so tight because the dependency at one level up and possibly 2 levels down could cause a real super squeeze.
Exactly. So I'm responsible for everybody who lives at my address. My sister's responsible for who's at her address. My brother's responsible for who is at his address. But we all have the same parents, and we all have to pitch in. Now, not everybody wants to pitch in. Not everybody can pitch in.
Yep.
True.
So someone, the one, is going to have to take care of that person's end because it has to get taken care of. But I'm also planning for the future with my kids. I'm not responsible for my grandchildren, but what I can do whenever they come is set them up 15 days after they're born and buy a policy where I am the owner, they are the insured, and I'm the beneficiary, and run that policy for 8 to 10 years and pay for it one time. I can pay for it one time, one payment, and the policy is paid for life for that child.
Right.
And that's my gift to my next generation. So I'm taking care of 3 generations because their kids have a head start. Because when I go and when they go, wealth is transferring. Most importantly, tax-free, bypassing creditors, bypassing probate. All 3 get satisfied with life insurance, which is why it's one of the best things you can have in your portfolio. Term, whole life, universal life, all 3 bypass probate, tax-free, bypass creditors.
Speaking of probate, I know your boy Prince, they finally just settled his estate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So,
Right? Bob Marley's still not settled. 39 years.
No. Yeah,
That's nuts.
Rowena saying amazing, Wayne. And I heard your beep in the background, so I have a feeling you have to go fairly soon. But I have another question here. The 20% will always do what is necessary. How do we convince/educate the 80% to increase our financial IQ so we all grow as a collective?
Fantastic question, and a great way to cap off this session. This is what I do on a daily basis. You know, the first part of life is trying to understand. Understanding you were born for a purpose. And the second part of life is understanding, is actually finding out what that purpose is. This is my purpose. I've done many things in my life, and those of you who've gone to my LinkedIn, you see a lot of dead bodies there. All puns intended. Right? Of all the companies I worked for in all my life, and I've never worked for a company for more than 4 years. Because by the time I get to 4 years, I figure out that I'm just making money. I'm not really serving a greater purpose. I'm just making money, and that was good for a while. But as I got closer to 50, I thought that could I make money and make a difference? A lot of people are making money, but can I make money and make a difference? Well, this business and this industry allows me to go to the 80% of Black people who are willing to sit down and listen to me and learn the concepts. Anything I teach you here, you can Google and YouTube and see that it's valid information. Don't just take my word for it. But if you follow the concepts of how to build your financial house and set yourself up and the next 2 generations to win, you're going to feel great when you transition. You're going to feel great. I feel great when I go and talk to people and they get it.
Yes.
But even if they don't get it, I'm happy that they can never say they don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Because some people are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, been going to the banks all their life and don't know what we talked about here today.
Right.
Some people are today years old with this information. And my job is to go out there and educate everybody who's willing to listen. And a lot of people are listening. The business is very, very good because, the ones who were very arrogant before COVID, I can invest, I'm day trading, I'm Forex, I'm crypto. Yeah. How's that working for you, buddy? How's that going now?
Yes.
Because everybody could do everything in a bull market, which happened up until February 2020. And then when things transition, these young people have never even seen a recession. They were in high school in 2008, 2009. Right? And they were just born during Y2K.
Right.
They don't know anything about recessions. This is our third one, bros. Y2K, 2008, 2009, and here we are, COVID. That's 3. And if you were born in 1987, you're around in 87, you know about Black Monday when the market dropped like 40%.
Yep. I remember that.
Wow.
Right? Who remembers Ray Days, right? 1990, right? And all that. So these young people don't know. They've never seen a correction. They've never seen a recession. And they were full of hubris. Now they're a little more easy to talk to because they've been beat up enough.
They took the licks.
They took some licks. So now they're willing to listen.
Yeah, right. So we'll
last point.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
That's for anybody on this call who wants to get a free financial needs analysis. No obligation. Link me up with what you see here. We'll sit down for an hour. I'll go through your numbers in confidence, in private. Black people, I will lose my license if I tell anybody about your business, and I would never do it. Sit down with me for an hour, go through, see where you're at. If it makes sense, we do something. If it doesn't, I'll give you a document where at least you know where you are today.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
So the final things here, frequency event promotions, what you're talking about is legacy at its best. I salute you, King. Janet says, fantastic. I knew a Black businessman back in the day who didn't want to write a will because he thought he would die similar, or probably never die, similar ignorance in the community. Kevin saying, well said, Wayne, very informative and simple to understand. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Dr. Tachi in Florida, this is fantastic information. We'll give him a call. Touch base with them. Darcy saying, great information. Well, we'll make some time to connect with you. All right, Mr. Rose, you're putting it out there in public.
Solid, yes.
Kevin Messam, what is up, Kevin Messam? What's going on?
Each one
and
teach
then,
one.
Great conversation, gentlemen. Wayne, thanks for the insight. I know you got things to run to, but there is a way you can get a hold of Mr. Harris. And I will say, this has been one of the best attended live conversations we've had in a while, and people are staying on and listening.
Yes.
So make a decision and take action, even if it's one of you. So I will be asking Wayne if Mr. Rose contacted him.
Right. Yes.
So we've got you on watch, Mr. Rose. So Wayne, any other closing thoughts before we let you go today?
Yeah, thank you guys for giving me the platform. I think these monthlies are going to be hot, and I'm looking to bring relevant information so that everyone who looks like us or who doesn't look like us can benefit from the programs that have been in place and leveraged by other communities for generations. And we're just getting exposed to it. So I'm going to bring it to you. You can do with it what you will. If you want to work with me, fantastic. If you want to work with somebody else, because you got a cousin, brother, sister, friend doing what I do, go work with them. The goal is when Ryan Knight says we have a credit union and checks need to be cut, you're in position to cut checks. When there's a community program that we're working with and they need someone to cut checks, you're in position to cut checks. If you're not in position to cut checks and you want to be in position to cut checks and to give your time and experience, if you're not in a position to do so because you're too busy working 2 jobs, link me up. And for those of you who are doing better and want to optimize what you're doing, link me up. I got you.
Excellent.
Love it.
So Kevin says, good to see Furious Harris dropping science. But just an inside back thing. We've known Kevin for 30 years. So he knows the inside. Charmaine saying, very informative. Thanks. Anton James, Wayne, great presentation. Wayne saying, Aka Furious style. Mr. Rose, LOL. We're watching you, Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Trevor, shout out to TM that contributed to who Wayne is.
Toastmasters, yes.
Yes.
He's checking for my ums and ahs. He's checking for my ums and ahs.
Yeah, there you go. And Rowena saying, bring Wayne back to continue. Yes, we are bringing him back the first Friday of each month.
Yes.
And Rowena, can you do us a favor? Tell your friends to be on it on the first Friday of every month at 9 a.m. He will be here dropping out, and also have them get in contact with him. Don't wait till the beginning of next month.
True.
Do it now, right? Because time never lost a fight.
Wow, I like that. I'm gonna teach that.
When I just say something and Wayne Harris likes it, I done good.
I'm ready to done.
Yes.
All right. So Wayne, as always, blessings to you and your family, and also to all you have done, all you are doing, and all you will be doing, especially every month on our platform, to help us be better. So have a good one. Thanks again.
Yeah,
and thanks
much
for
appreciated.
Most appreciated, Bonnie, that you have your time.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, gents, and I appreciate you guys, and I love this platform. Vibe and Ryan, this is what the community needs. More of this, more of you. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Take care. All right, beautiful.
Sweet.
That was outstanding.
Yeah, I love that.
And I want to say thank you, a big thank you to everyone who came on live. Huge.
Yes.
I know people will watch us on a replay, but live, really, really good. And yeah, we want to thank Wayne for coming on. That was just, and also thank you, family. Great conversation today. We got, Kevin saying that's what makes Wayne who he is. Teach and inspire. Very insightful and thoughtful. Okay, I'll be in touch. Okay, teach and inspire. We have you on the watch. Right?
Yes.
All right. We got 2 people have put it out there. So we want to make sure. And when you do contact Wayne, tell him you found out by watching this. He wants to know that, and we want to know that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, because it all starts with one. It all starts with one. Kevin's saying, when you come to the table, you better make sure you're buttoned up with Wayne. Okay.
Yes.
Good stuff. So great conversation. What is up for you for the weekend, sir?
This weekend I'm gonna be at the pop-up. So shout out to Frequency Event Promotions, Detailing Nights representing, and the Afro Caribbean Business Network. Sunday, a bit more relaxed, but we always have our youth working. So I'm going to be training and working with them. And I know you usually end off with a quote. There's a quote that I heard this past week that I love, and I'm going to be telling more people. And is that to the world, you're one person, but to one person, you can be the world. And when Dr. Vibe and I thank our audience, your presence does mean a lot to us. So I just wanted to share that. But yeah, what are you going to be up to this weekend, brother?
Well, I have a retreat meeting for most of the day tomorrow, and then hopefully I'll be able to come to the pop-up shop tomorrow night at 9 p.m. State of Things with Aisha and Jill with their takes on what's going on in America. Sunday, Black Canada Talking, 5 p.m. And in between, just odds and ends. Oh, if you're in the Toronto area, it's going to be hot. It's going to be very hot again this weekend. So we've had our fair share of heat. Okay, Jan is asking, repeat his contact info. So I will put it up again. So there is Wayne's contact info. So this is really good. There's at least 3 people out there that's saying, we want to contact Wayne. And please say, hey, he was going to ask, where do I know you from? Say, I saw you on the Morning Vibe. We want to hear that. He wants to hear that. So there is his contact info. And today's a little bit quiet. Actually, see, we don't have time to do it, but I did something interesting earlier on this week on the holiday Monday. I went strawberry picking.
Oh, I'm a big fan of strawberry picking.
And actually, well, we'll talk offline, but this place, strawberries, apples, pears.
Yeah, which area of the city? Or
where you're near to where you are right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll chat offline. It's a really nice place, and they have like a big play area for kids. There were goats there.
Love it. Yes.
Like it was all that. So if you want to catch replays of this epic conversation, go to the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube and Facebook, Afro-Caribbean Net Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. Man, comments are still coming in. All right, let's so Charmaine, have a good weekend. Frequency event. Yes, ACBN is one of your sponsors for your event tomorrow. Wonderful. And Teach and Inspire says, of course I will. So they're saying they're going to contact Wayne. All right. And then Dr. Tachi, that sounds great. Hey, Dr. Tachi, Wayne does business North America wise too, if you need to. Maybe, or he can refer someone from the US. And Kevin says, how can you not love the heat? There you go. So family, woo! This has been fire today. This has been great. One last thing, if you want to get in touch with me, those are different places: website, email, YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, and the Gram. And I'm also on TikTok now, but that's another conversation. I have someone managing that, by the way. So want to end off with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. We have another guest coming up on Monday. Ryan, who do we have coming up on Monday?
Yes, Sean is back from Cygriff, the biotechnology company that we had talking about the nano protein and agriculture. So He's been in Europe, I believe at Switzerland, in some sort of incubator. So he's going to report back on the progress the company's been making.
Cool. And then next Friday, we have scheduled a representative from the Black Opportunity Fund, Walmart, and Sick Kids Hospital. And all those 3 organizations have come together in a collaboration in regards to sickle cell. So we're bringing it to you. We're informing you what's going on from a Black lens, not from nothing against a CBC, but not from a CBC lens. Okay. So we're going to leave with that. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll see you on Monday. Be well and keep the faith.